And at 10, The Flash. Now, The Flash has fought alternate versions of himself a lot, and I mean a lot. But I think that the most interesting time was when it was him from an alternate future where Wally West had died. And this future Barry's solution was to come back and kill his past self so the timeline of events that caused Wally to die wouldn't happen. Yeah, I still don't understand it either. However, to gain enough speed, Barry has to kill all of his rogues, including Gorilla Grodd, Mirror Master, and Captain Cold, who he just like sits with as he dies. It's weird. I also don't get how going on a killing spree helps you gain more speed, but whatever, maybe Reverse Flash did it. He eventually does gain enough speed and runs back in time to try to kill himself. But both the present Barry and a future version of Wally West fight off future Barry, and future Barry gets killed. But before dying, he's able to mutter Thawne in an attempt to explain that Thawne killed his mother. Yeah, gotta love comics, right? They make so much sense. And at 9, Mecha Vibe. I will admit the Flash TV show has gone in some interesting directions recently. However, the most recent season saw Barry lose basically all of his emotions for a time while trying to build an artificial speed force. But this ended up causing Barry to be very logical but also weirdly impulsive, becoming a form of pseudo-villain for a couple episodes. But when choosing to take only Iris out of the Mirrorverse, the team retaliates and tries to stop him. But in the process, Barry absolutely destroys all of them because he literally can predict where a ball will appear before it's thrown. He just puts his hand up and then there's a ball that will just bounce in random directions that Cisco throws, and then he doesn't move his hand and catches it. Like, what? Gotta love that speed thinking. And you know, it's not like that would have helped against DeVoe or anything. Gotta love when they introduce new abilities that would have really helped previously, huh? Oh, and that damn copyright neutral lightsaber battle in the finale, seriously? That had to be the most ridiculous bull I've ever seen on this show. Like, I thought Godspeed was gonna pull some like sick ass Zeus bull and like start like grab the lightning and like start throwing it, but no, he made a lightning saber. This show, man. And at 8, Green Arrow. Okay, so during the Elseworlds crossover event, Flash and Green Arrow swapped their powers. So Oliver Queen became the Flash and Barry Allen became the Green Arrow. Yet even with that, Barry was in essence still his old self until he started having to take on a darker personality in order to be the Green Arrow. Before doing this, however, he did finally get his revenge on Oliver after around 6 years. In the very first crossover, Flash vs. Arrow, we saw Oliver training Barry on how to case an environment. He did so by placing remote control crossbows in a field and told Barry to catch an arrow. After he did, the remote control crossbows shot Barry in the back. Literally. Barry, however, got his revenge in Elseworlds where he did the same thing to Oliver on Earth 38, when training Oliver on how to use his speed. I don't know how he got the bows there, because like, I mean, it was another Earth, but it still counts. He also beat the Amazo robot after it had gained the abilities of Green Arrow among others, so that certainly counts as well.
Number 7, Supergirl. Hell on Earth is a Superman storyline beginning with Superman Volume 3, Issue 13, and as the title suggests, Hellspawn arrives to Earth and kicks Superboy and Superman out of the Fortress of Solitude, so now they need help from the Justice League in stopping him. Hell's idea here is to go back in time and prevent the destruction of Krypton, but in order to do so, our solar system will be blown to smithereens. Nice. Hashtag not so great. Supergirl is on board with Hell's plan to, bring back Krypton, so Wonder Woman knows that she must stop her. Diana reminds her that strength is not simply about force, but rather from studying your opponent and how they fight. She continues to tell Kara that she fights like a child, wasting energy and lashing out. That's a pretty harsh burn. So Diana ties her up then with a lasso and hopes that Supergirl can learn from this. Closely matched in strength and speed, but not experience.
And at 6, Kid Flash. In season 3 of The Flash, Barry kinda gave up on his responsibilities because he was scared of losing Iris. Like, I get it, the girl you've been pining after for years had finally admitted that she had feelings for you, but then you went and changed the timeline, so losing her would definitely end up sucking. But you don't give all the responsibility of saving her to her little brother that Godspeed because you changed the timeline. Damn, season 3 was weird. However, in season 3, episode 12, Barry and Wally have a race to keep Wally's training going. Things seem fairly even until they come to a building that they need to run over. Barry faces through the wall, but since Wally doesn't know how to do that, he has to run over the building. Funny. Wally has to run over a wall. Wall. Either way, Barry ends up winning and Wally complains because he phased. But then Barry responds with the best line of, "What's my name?" Since prior he was mentioning how he was called the fastest man alive. Also, I want to just say that they were betting on this race and Caitlyn bet more on Barry than Iris did. So maybe I should have let Savitar win. Just saying.
Number 5, The Punisher. I would pay thousands of dollars to see this on screen. No problem, debit, boop. Punisher Batman Deadly Nights, written by Chuck Dixon. We get to see John Romita Jr. draw Batman during his 37 years at Marvel Comics, which is amazing. So both of these heroes were on the same side, more or less. They wanted bad guys off the street, but the way that Frank Castle does that, by spraying, a plethora of bullets, Batman likes to break an arm or two, so they're a little bit different. So they get into a disagreement over Batman's one rule, and Frank is moments away from taking out the Joker, and then Batman intervenes and saves the Joker's life, which is kind of crazy. Batman lets Frank connect one hit to the face because he was frustrated, but one is all he'll get tonight.
And for Supergirl. Okay, this is the last of the Arrowverse stuff, I promise, okay? He fights a lot of people in the Arrowverse. The Invasion crossover was the first big crossover the Arrowverse had. They had a couple prior to this, but this was the first one where Supergirl was brought into Earth 1, and since the Legends were having their first season, they were also there as well. However, after discovering that Barry had changed the timeline and made a whole new reality that gave Diggle a son, and killed Cisco's brother, the group basically benched Barry when they were going to save the president from aliens. Yeah, bench the guy who can run at the speed of light. That's a great idea. So since Barry was staying, Oliver stayed back with him. But it's actually a good thing that they did, because the distress signal turned out to be a trap that everyone went to because, they were trying to save the president. However, they turned against Oliver and Barry because they got brainwashed by Dominators. So in an attempt to get the Dominators out of the others' heads, Barry lured Supergirl to a warehouse where he got her really mad enough to break the connection. He got her mad by showing her how much faster he is and that she couldn't even lay a finger on him. I actually find it funny because it's such a childish thing, but it works so well.
Number 3, Huntress. Back to the Injustice timeline yet again. Looking into year 3, issue 21. The world is far from bright. Superman is hurt, so Huntress believes that this is the perfect time to take a crack at the son of Krypton. Batwoman is also there, so the two of them perform a well-choreographed cranial kick, and down he goes. They genuinely have him on their ropes here. It's looking good, but then in comes the bestie Wonder Woman. Not on her watch, oh god. Diana explains how fighting for a lost cause doesn't make you a hero, it just makes you foolish. Huntress responds with, well, we'd rather die fools than belong to a tyrant, and then Diana makes that a reality by cracking her whip around Huntress's neck and giving a mighty tug. She got Gwen Stacy'd by Wonder Woman, guys, that's brutal. She says she didn't mean to, but at that point it's far too late, doesn't matter.
Penultimately, in at number 2, Quicksilver. During the Marvel vs. DC crossover comic event, the Flash was pitted against Quicksilver, since he's the Marvel equivalent. However, there are multiple things about these characters that separate them. For instance, Quicksilver's body is always moving quickly, and he has to actually slow himself down in order to talk to people and live like a normal person would, which is why he comes off as short-tempered and easily annoyed, because he's literally slowing down his life for you and can't wait for you to get in the fast lane. However, the Flash and subsequently other DC speedsters only run fast when accessing the Speed Force, so otherwise they're just normal people with high metabolisms. But when pitted against each other, the Flash did understandably come out on top, because while he needs to access the Speed Force to move fast, he's accessing a literal force of nature, so yeah, it makes sense. Finally, in at number 1, Superman. The Flash beats Superman in one of the most iconic moments of all time in comics. The Flash and Superman have faced off on multiple occasions, multiple of which ended in a tie or close to it. But in the panels of Flash Rebirth number 3, we got to see how that was all possible. After all, Barry is accessing a force of nature. When Barry wanted to re-enter the Speed Force after escaping, the Justice League was looking for a way to disconnect Barry from the Speed Force to save his life. But Barry manages to break free and runs off. Superman follows him though, saying that he will find a way to save him and that they can't lose another hero, and that he won't be able to re-enter the Speed Force because he will keep up with him. That they have raced before and Superman even won a couple times. But that's when Barry looks at him super smugly and says, "Those were for charity, Clark." And then boom! The man runs insanely fast and leaves Superman in his dust. I love this moment. It settled the debate once and for all. Who's faster? The Flash, by far. I love it. Best moment in all of comics, okay? Well, I mean, after the introduction of Green Arrow's son, Connor.
Kicking off the list at number 10, Nightwing. Coming from the Court of Owls storyline, where a body was found with a message. Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow. That's what it said, written right there on the wall. Harry Potter, Chamber of Secrets style. It's so mysterious, okay. Pretty concerning warning, but when Batman finds Dick Grayson's DNA under the victim's fingernail, he has even more questions. It's later revealed that William Cobb is the great-grandfather of Dick Grayson. Spoilers right off the hop. But Batman is trying to piece together this mystery alone. He's not sharing all these details, and Dick is obviously upset. He's yelling at Bruce, he's demanding to shed more light on this fact that he just dropped on him. Bruce interrupts him with a left hook to the jaw, knocking Nightwing down. He did this simply to check one of Nightwing's teeth for an owl logo. Now, to be fair, he did have the owl in his tooth. Bruce was right. Dick was supposed to be a Talon growing up, but I'm pretty sure there's other ways to check a tooth here. I mean, you have tech that can see through cars. I don't know, just tell him to lean back. Be like, what's that? And scan his mouth. That's it. Although a surprise bat punch works too. That clearly works as well. Number 9, the Incredible Hulk. When DC and Marvel combine powers, it's an odd but beautiful time. In DC's special series issue 27 titled The Monster and the Madman, Angry Orphan Bruce versus Angrier Orphan Bruce. Who comes out on top? Well, given the title of this list, you already know what happens, but how? That's the question. Bruce Banner was working at a division of Wayne Research. He was developing a gamma gun, said to cure diseases, so Banner was hoping he could fix his mean green problem while at work. Sounds like a plan. But when the Joker comes in and steals the gamma gun, Bruce goes green, makes a mess, and in turn, Batman shows up to save the day. You can't just punch the Hulk until he goes to sleep this time around. You won't even get close. So Batman, in fact, does get close, a little too close for comfort, as his spine was seconds away from snapping like a pencil. So Batman used a chemical that would knock the beast out. Thing is, the Hulk can hold his breath for a long time, so in order for him to inhale, Batman had to kick him right in the stomach, and then down goes the Green Goliath. And before we continue on with this list, you guys know the drill. If you want to go and give us a thumbs up, that would be awesome. It really does help us out a lot at this channel, and obviously we like throwing all that nerdy content back, so it's a nice circle of love. Hit that thumbs up. Thank you. Back to the list. Number 8, Wonder Woman. Rich orphan versus daughter of Zeus. This one is shocking, I'll admit. Coming from Batman Confidential issue 53, Batman is facing the team, and right from the get-go, trying not to say right off the bat, he says the woman is the most powerful. Right on. The woman being Wonder Woman. He decides he has to take her down first, but after his knuckles shatter, Bruce realizes it might be a little harder than he thinks. She still needs to breathe though, so there is hope. Batman beats her without any heavy metal knight armor, anything like that, and then after he gets Superman's powers, he takes out the entire team again. All these superhumans, it's always air. It's always air that's the weakness. You just gotta knock the wind out of them and then they're good. Like every kid in the playground, when they get winded, they're like, and then have to go home.
And it's 7 other flashes. When Wally goes berserk and starts killing other speedsters, you know it's gonna be an interesting issue. Yeah, in the Future State storyline, we see some flashes including Jay Garrick, Barry Allen, and Max Mercury fighting off various thugs with blasters, swords, and futuristic torpedo grenades. But one of the speedsters gets injured and they have to retreat. They later, for some reason, get inside each other's dreams and end up in some psychic plane of existence where Wally ends up finding them, somehow. It also seems to be like a version of Wally that's also Black Flash, or like maybe it's Black Flash disguising, I don't know. Either way, this version of Wally absolutely rips through the entire Flash family, feeding on their psychic forms, and honestly, that's enough for me to put it on this list, so just because like I don't want it to happen to me.
Number 6, the Ninja Turtles. Batman beating up the Foot Clan and coming face to face with Shredder is pretty awesome, but when he meets the Turtles, he has no idea what exactly he's facing. He's like, are these good guys or bad guys? I'm very confused. All he sees are giant moody turtle monsters with weapons, just like eating pizza, so of course a brawl goes down. It also doesn't help that the Turtles were breaking and entering into a pizza joint. Like, you're literally breaking the law, you're a bad guy. Batman thinks these guys are villains, so he takes them on all at the same time. He impressed the Turtles while doing so, and it takes Master Splinter's arrival just to calm things down. But even then, Batman's like, a rat? No sweat, I'll fight you too. Batman versus Ratman, let's do it. He doesn't beat up Splinter, don't worry, because Splinter makes a run for it, which is crazy. The fact that Splinter and the Turtles had to run away from Bruce Wayne, that's awesome. We had to include it on this list. Until next time, Batman, just eating pizza. Number 5, MERA. Returning to the Flashpoint universe for a hot minute, where Wonder Woman is now an oppressive queen of the Amazons, the way she rules over them is dark. It's cruel. It's nothing like how we know and love Diana now. So naturally, her combat skills share a hint of evil as well. She's one of the 2 main villains in the 2013 animated film Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox, and it's here where we see Diana and Aquaman fall for each other out of nowhere. Aquaman's wife, MERA, is of course hurt during this, as she witnessed this affair go down, so she approached Wonder Woman and was like, hey man, not so cool what happened there with you and my husband, I don't know, let's talk about it. Wonder Woman responds by taking her head clean off. Her body was then later sent to Aquaman as a gift, and then of course a massive war began. This is incredibly dark, but most things in the Flashpoint universe are. I mean, she kept and wore MERA's crown too, like, Come on, really, dude? Number 4, Superman. One of the biggest movies of 2016. It's been teased since I Am Legend in the very background. Batman vs Superman, Son of Krypton vs Bat of Gotham. Who will come out on top? Well, the general audience wasn't a big fan of this outcome, but Bruce Wayne took this one. Bruce almost ended the God too, but luckily he was reminded of his mother and therefore his own mortality, so he didn't go through with that execution. In Batman vs Superman, I mean, sure, Bruce had kryptonite, but Superman easily could have punched him into vapor. I wasn't too happy with this win, but after accumulating over $870 million in the box office, we figured it was worth a Martha mention. In the comics too, Batman has come out on top. In Injustice Year 5, Batman beats Superman in a back alley, and of course in The Dark Knight Returns, Bruce gets pretty close to ending the Son of Krypton.
Getting close to the end in number 3, Batman. Batman is always depicted as a hero who can beat anyone despite not having any powers, and I get why it's appealing to people, because we all want to feel like we can do anything even though we're not a superhero. But the thing is, this whole Batman is the best thing is a load of bull, okay? Take this single frame from the Price storyline, where Flash puts his fist not even a centimeter away from Batman's face and says, "I could hit you 100 times before you even threw one punch." And he is absolutely right. I love this line. I love Batman being put in his place. Not only that, but as Red Death, Barry was also able to beat Batman after being blasted with positive energy. God, that sounds like the show. Barry was able to take control over his body again as Red Death, since Batman was so full of hate and whatnot. Because, you know, Red Death is a combination of Bruce Wayne and Barry when they combined after entering the Speed Force, while Barry was tied to the front of a cosmic treadmill-powered Batmobile. I'm not even kidding. Sounds absolutely ridiculous.
Number 2, Green Lantern. This one comes from Justice League issue 5. Fans refer to it simply as the Punch. At this time in comics, Batman was about to become the leader of the Justice League International, and Guy Gardner doesn't really share the same enthusiasm as the rest of the team. For more than one issue, he makes it very clear that he doesn't want Batman to run the show, although Batman was clearly a better fit for the role. Whatever, people get jealous. Guy was being sour, he was being a sour guy, so he challenged Batman to a fight without the use of his power ring, just one human to another. Batman was already a human before, so it's gonna get messy. Batman easily knocked him down, and you guessed it, he did so with one punch. Yeah, of course, he's Batman, and without the ring, you're literally just a guy. Literally a guy. Blue Beetle started shouting one punch over and over again. He was hyped up, and readers were for sure doing the same. I know I was. And finally, number 1, the Justice League. One of the more impressive defeats comes from the Tower of Babel storyline that began back in JLA issue 43. It's a 4-parter written by Mark Waid, where Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins strike against every member of the Justice League using their personal lives and vulnerabilities. How does one get all this information? Well, it's all thanks to Batman and his trust issues. See, Bruce was keeping a hidden file that exposed all the strengths and weaknesses of the JLA. He made this file just in case any of them were to go rogue. So this man just gave away revenge recipes. Here you go, here's the password, enjoy. Batman figured all these out, so he wrote them down. Okay, so red kryptonite to use on Superman, okay. Nanites to trap Wonder Woman in a virtual battle with herself. A post-hypnotic suggestion would make the Green Lantern will himself into blindness. He has a Vibra bullet as well that would send the Flash into light-speed seizures, and a magnesium virus would cause Martian Manhunter's skin to burst into flames when he's exposed to air. Also, Scarecrow's fear toxin would make Aquaman afraid of water, and Plastic Man, well, you just freeze him and flick him. Some blame Ra's al Ghul, but I blame the guy who had a dirty file of secrets. I don't know. I don't trust rich orphans anymore, that's my thing. I'm for sure going through all my friends' phones now. Kicking off the list at number 10, Superman. We'll kick off the list with some mind-controlled madness here, we always love those. In part 1 of the Superman sacrifice storyline, Maxwell Lord had Superman thinking he was fighting Doomsday, but in reality he was fighting his own friend, Diana Prince. Now Superman does seem to do most of the damage here, but only because Diana was strategically using her lasso against him in hopes to cancel out the mind control. She had her wrist broken during this altercation, but eventually she realized the only way to stop Superman was to take out Maxwell Lord instead. But if she had not taken down Maxwell, she for sure would have won against mind-controlled, dare I say, messy Superman. She slashed his throat at one point and was still holding back. What a ride. Number 9, Green Lantern. Hal Jordan is one of the most powerful members of the Justice League. His ring allows him to get a lot done, but how does it hold up against the might of Wonder Woman? In the New 52, the team aren't exactly close yet. They have their arguments, you know, it's realistic. They don't know each other too well, so it makes sense. But in Justice League issue 11, Wonder Woman sets out to take on David Graves. Steve Trevor is there, and Diana plans on taking off Graves' head. So Green Lantern steps in with other ideas. He insists that this is a job for the League and not just for her, so she should back down, or at least least include them. She says no to both options. So Green Lantern uses his ring to hold her back, and after Diana demands to be let out, he responds with no. So she breaks out of the ring's construct and throws Green Lantern around for a few pages. She actually tries to use her sword on him at one point, believe it or not, but luckily Superman grabbed it mid-swing. That was a close call, Diana, a little too close for comfort. And before we continue with this list, if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up, that would be awesome. It really does help us out here on our channel, and then in turn we can bring you all the nerdy goodness and put it back into your eyes. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's get right back to this list. Number 8, Power Girl. In Wonder Woman issue 41, A Murder of Crows Part 2, we see Power Girl and Wonder Woman go toe-to-toe. This nightmare becomes reality when the son of Ares, the Crows, turns superheroes against Wonder Woman, including Power Girl. At the start of the comic, Wonder Woman even acknowledges that this isn't going the way she thought it was. She's getting quite a few hits from Power Girl. Now, it's fun to watch. I mean, Power Girl literally punches Diana so hard that she ends up in Canada, which is amazing. Karens are tough. She's probably the toughest Karen out there. I would say so. But Wonder Woman quickly reminds herself that she too has super speed. She's good, but she's no Amazon. Number 7, Green Arrow. Whenever Batman breaks his one rule, it's pretty alarming. He did it a few times in the early comics. I mean, he pushed a guy into acid, he threw another guy into a knife, and then he broke a dude's neck with one kick. It was pretty intense, but nothing comes close to the time that Batman beat Green Arrow half to death just for Superman's birthday. Yeah, hear this one out. This takes place in Superman and Batman's Absolute Power storyline. It takes place in an alternate timeline where Superman and Batman were raised as evil rulers instead of the protectors that they are now. It's a stressful but pretty awesome time, I gotta admit. They're hunting down Green Arrow, and the fight, as you would guess, doesn't last too long. Archer almost gets Superman as well. He comes very close. Clark catches the arrow, and then moments later, kryptonite explodes out of it. The classic Loki Hawkeye trick. It's good. Always works. Batman gets upset here. He says, hey, if you just hurt him, I'll kill you. So that's pretty crazy for Bruce. That's like 0 to 100 for Bruce Wayne. They brawl it out a bit, and then when Archer goes down, Bruce says, get up, because he wants more. At that point, I would my jeans. That's crazy. He's so angry. Now, this is when Superman flies in and turns Archer into dust with his laser vision. He's telling Green Arrow's corpse to obey or die, so it's very intense. Batman did all the heavy lifting here, and it's even more twisted when you remember that he gave Archer up to Superman as a birthday present. Number 6, Batman. On screen, we saw Batman and Superman go at it. It was a good time, but we have yet to see Batman fight Wonder Woman, and that's probably for the best. In Wonder Woman, the Hikatia, released in 2002, during this storyline, Batman gets on Diana's radar after somebody Wonder Woman was in charge of protecting turns out to be a criminal in Gotham City. So Batman has a few choice words to say. That's his city, and he handles the crime around those parts. Diana disagrees, so now we get a heated exchange. Lucky for us, it's pretty epic. Batman throws a batarang and Diana catches it. It's always an entertaining dynamic when two superheroes have different plans. Now, the only way for Diana to stop beating down Bruce was for Batman to tell her that she straight up won. He surrenders, which is insane. The cover of the story is actually pretty spoilery. It shows Wonder Woman's foot on Batman's head, which we don't see play out until page 93. But it's still worth the read nonetheless. Check it out.
Halfway through into number 5, Black Lightning. The Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event was probably the biggest, most influential event the Arrowverse ever had, similar to how Crisis on Infinite Earths in the comics was a really big event, with characters from shows that we didn't even know were in the Arrowverse making an appearance, like Doom Patrol, Teen Titans, and even Ezra Miller's Flash. However, one of the most highly anticipated crossovers was Black Lightning, who made his appearance after being pulled to Earth 1 by Pariah when his Earth was destroyed in part 3 of the 5-part crossover. His first meeting with the heroes was an eventful one though, attacking Vibe, Frost, and the Flash at the antimatter cannon, demanding that he be sent home, even though there was no home to be sent home to. After some quick descriptions about what's going on from Pariah and Barry, he calms down. But before he does, he takes a few passes at the Flash, including just throwing lightning at him, which Barry just blocks with some additional lightning. So, pretty sick if you ask me.
Number 4, Captain Atom. In Injustice Gods Among Us issue 2, Captain Atom is keeping Superman busy. He's holding the god down by using his nuclear energy. And he's actually doing a pretty decent job here, I'm not gonna lie. The Pentagon thinks that Nathaniel can take Superman on, but he's never tried to before until now, because he knows, he follows orders, unlike some other gods. It's a heated exchange, but it comes to an explosive halt once Diana enters the scene. Right before Captain Atom is about to punch Superman's head right off, Wonder Woman uses her sword to slash at his throat. He's standing there afterwards, but everybody knows what's about to happen. He has more power in him than 10 nuclear bombs, and her magic sword just breached the one thing that contains it. So he decides to take Superman with him as he flies off and explodes in space. Number 3. AZREAL. Right after the 1993 Nightfall storyline when Batman got wrecked by Bane, his back was broken. He decided to pass the Batman mantle to not Dick Grayson, no, instead he chose Jean-Paul Valley, aka AZREAL. This guy is a crazy substitute. I mean, his run as Batman wasn't the same at all. Batman wasn't nearly as violent as AZREAL. He's also just messy and irresponsible the way he handles things. Not really a great look for Gotham, but we have to admit he is a tad impressive because he did beat Bane with his, advanced Autobot looking suit. So he did a good job on paper. He was a decent successor, but not a permanent one. Once Bruce recovered, he had to physically force Azbat to leave the position. He got too cozy in the crime fighting life, but you know what? I don't blame him. But yeah, as far as being Batman, even the style changes were drastic. He had claws. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of claws. If someone was saving my life from a crime and he had claws looking like that, I would think I'm in more trouble. Number 2, the Justice League. Perhaps one of the best victories here has to be the time Diana blindfolded herself in order to take on Medusa. Yeah, you heard me. Shut your eyes for this one, folks. This one goes down to Wonder Woman Eyes of the Gorgon, beginning in Wonder Woman Volume 2, Issue 206. Diana is challenged to take on Snakehead Sally over here, so at first, she blindfolds herself, obviously. But when the blindfold comes off, she needs a new plan, so she improvises and uses one of the snakes from her head that have been severed off, and she uses its venom to blind herself. That's one way of not looking. She takes down Medusa blind. It's actually really impressive, but it only gets better. A couple of issues later, Diana, still blind, begins training with the Justice League. They need to know she's still a formidable member, so like the final scene of Dodgeball, she wraps up her eyes, and so it begins. Plastic Man, The Flash, Black Canary, Martian Manhunter, even Batman comes in at one point, all racing towards her, and she takes them all on. Superman even fires a gun at her, like okay, but she deflects it, no sweat, still blind. How impressive is that? And finally, coming in at number 1, the Justice League again. Another one, here you go. Yeah, it's pretty common for superheroes to think about taking down their own teammates. Batman did it in Tower of Babel. He had all these plans just in case anybody on the team went a little psycho. And then in JLA, A League of One, Diana has to face a similar situation. The story begins with a flashback to 1348, where the evil dragon, Dracul Carfang, has started wiping out villages. Now, the only way to destroy said dragon is, of course, to get to its heart. How soft and lovely. Soldiers reach the dragon's lair, fail at killing it, obviously, so then they just blow the entrance apart and seal it in forever, until, you guessed it, today, present day. So the rules with how to defeat this dragon are complicated because it can only be taken down by members of the Justice League, but in turn, it would take them out in the process. So Diana figures out this wild loophole and takes the team down herself in order to protect them. Yeah, hear me out. She traps Martian Manhunter in a volcano, she throws Aquaman to the fishes, hilariously, he gets eaten by a sea monster, and then she beats up Batman and the Flash. She also steals Green Lantern's ring, which is just rude. She handles Superman as well by sending him away on a fake mission in space, so he's just away, not even involved. And then she handles the dragon with her lasso, almost dying in the process, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Even if that includes throwing your coworker into a sea monster's trout. What can I say? That's teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.